Since the beginning, it's always been established that yes, and this is a late night talk show, we want to push the envelope, but we can't go past the fine line that's drawn because it is a university funded event. The university, if it wasn't for the university, we wouldn't have this ability to do this TV show. So the university is like the parent corporation, the parent ownership. They're the ones who oversee everything. And then WSAZ is a stair step above that. So when it comes to censoring bits or censoring guests or censoring things that we do, what I tell the students is, tell me what you want to do. And they tell me, hey, we have an idea to do this. And then if I think it's good, it's like, of course, go do it. But if I have any questions, I say, well, let me think about it. Okay, go for it. But I'm thinking in the back of my mind that the university might say no. And then ultimately SAZ might say no. So there's always that stair step, that tier of censorship that goes on with the show. I try to be the middle ground between the students and the administration so that if the administration says, absolutely not, you can't do this, then I'll take the blame. So I'm sorry, I told them they could. But again, I fight for the students too. I mean, most weeks there's always something that they say, oh, we really don't want you to do this, or I really wish you went about this a different way. But according to FCC guidelines, we haven't done anything that we could get in trouble about. It's just indecency, maybe suggestive material that the university deems like, we don't want to be represented this way, so we'll censor ourselves that way. But there's only been maybe 2 or 3 times that I can think of where the university absolutely said, no, there's not a chance we're going to air this. You got to change it. And that's difficult. That's difficult to go back and tell the students, we can't do it. Because then they wonder why, and I got to explain to them. And also be, respectful to the university because, they do employ me, so I have to abide by their wishes. But yet I want to make the students happy too and let them know, well, it's not just because they don't like it, it's because of this, this, and this. So it's always been, I don't want to say a struggle, but it's always been a part of our show, the censorship and knowing we can't just go out and use obscenities or nudity and just do horrible productions. We try to keep it as clean, but yet we try to be funny too.
Usually what we do is we apply broadcast standards to the program. And there have been times when we've asked them to change the program or to make some changes to the content, and they have always complied. And so we've never had to shut the program down or say you can't air that. It's always been very cooperative. But yes, I do have editorial control over the program.
The standards have changed. The things that you see on TV now aren't the same things you would have seen on TV 15, 20 years ago. I mean, people are saying more obscenities, they're showing more nudity and pushing the envelope just a little bit more. But I think that with our show, that kind of helps us, but yet we don't go that far. We could, I think, we could say things, we could be much meaner or use different types of language, but the university said, no, that just, makes you all look bad. And I agree, we don't want to be that type of comedy show that uses, dirty language and poop jokes or nudity and things like that in every bit. And we do it every now and then because it's funny, right? Mm-hmm. But no, I think being on a commercial station it's given the students an opportunity to really understand we can't do everything we want to do. There's always somebody saying yes or no.
I review the show, I watch the show after it's been produced to see if there are any moral or ethical or legal issues with the show. And so every week after they produce it, I go to Jamie Lofiego's office, I watch the show, and then determine if there are any issues with it. Generally, we can come to consensus about what we're going to do about it. But occasionally, we have to call in a third person, and that third person is Corley Dennison, the Dean of the School of Journalism and Mass Communications, because ultimately, it falls under his purview.
If it's something that could air on regular over-the-air television, and it's not something in bad taste and not something that reflects poorly on the university, then usually we'll let it go. If it goes beyond the network standards and practices, then usually we'll say, hey, that probably needs to be edited down. Of course, keeping in mind, again, the program usually airs, the name of the show is Up Late, so usually it airs later at night. And usually standards and practices are not as tight late at night as it is during primetime television. But nonetheless, there are certain rules about certain words and certain types of context that are not allowed, and that's what we follow. That's our guideline.
I don't always consult Corley. I just will take it to him if I have a real significant question. Sometimes I'll watch the show. I won't give Jamie an opinion. I'll say, you know what, I need to think about that. Occasionally, I'll take it to my boss, who's Matt Turner, and say, what do you think about this?
Lee is very good about reviewing the material, but if there's something that she just wants a second eye on, if she wants me to have a look, then she'll bring it to my attention. If there's something that she just maybe raises a question, she'll ask me if I need to look at it, and I have done that a few times. I'm always interested in the show and always aware of what's in it, but I don't review every one of them. They do that. They review them for content and taste and things of that nature.
I tend to be somewhat conservative. I'm a 50-year-old mom, and so it's good for me to watch it because my children are college students and high school students, so I'm used to seeing a lot of things, but I also know that if someone my age comes across the show, I know how they would react, and so I have to take all those different audiences that I know could be exposed to the show and decide what's appropriate and what's going to be funny to one demographic might be offensive to another demographic. Making sure that students have the opportunity to learn how to produce a show and to have some free reign with their content, but it's my job to make sure that the university's image is protected. I think probably if I had one complaint about the show and about the students and their attempts at humor, is that I think sometimes they go for what I call the low-hanging fruit, and it's the easy jokes about sex. That's the easy stuff. That gets a laugh. But let's try and be a little bit more creative, and go for other things. They have produced some really funny skits. One is called "What the Hell Is That?" and it's cute. It's very good. It makes people laugh. I think some of that slapstick stuff. The New Yorkers is another skit that they've done routinely that is really funny. And I think that they need to stick sometimes with those tried and true skits and get the laughs instead of going for the low hanging sex jokes. I think those are sometimes a little bit too easy, and they fall back on that.
You know, you get the complaints all the time, or the criticism, you know, it's not funny, you're not funny, this isn't good, why are you wasting your time doing this? But we get very few of those, but yet we get so many positive remarks. So you can't please everybody all the time. You know that old phrase, you can't please everybody all the time, but you can please some of the people some of the time. One of the issues that we had it was a struggle was Pauly Shore. When Pauly came on the show, he kind of did something to me that the university and SAZ, they didn't think it was polite or nice. But again, it's just Pauly Shore being Pauly Shore. He's a character. But we aired it and got some pretty negative response about it. I'll let you judge and let you think if it's appropriate or not. But that was one of the situations where we got censored. Another one was probably our first time we actually got told no. Was our fourth show back in 2007, our first summer show. We did a bit that made reference to Senator Robert C. Byrd, and that didn't fly. They didn't like that at all, so we had to change it and go about it a different way because who Robert C. Byrd was and the effect that he had on this university, the donations that he's given this university throughout the years, they didn't want it to seem that we were making fun of him, so we had to change that. I think at the beginning they would sit there and they would watch the show every minute, every second, and critique and say, they're getting close. But after a while, we deliver the show and they probably just skim through it. I usually tell them if there's something they might want to look for, watch it.
I think that it's important to teach students television production skills and digital skills, and this show seems to be really well liked by students, and I think it's something we should continue. And it seems like the different elements, the School of Journalism and the university, are working well together to make this a quality experience for students.
We have done 110 different episodes in 4 years, and for a college station, no one gets paid to do this. The students all do it by volunteer or classwork. It's just amazing to look back and say, wow, we've done this many and no one's gotten in trouble yet.